I realize it's 7, but we're waiting for Brenda to get us online, so we're going to give her a second. Um, when when she gives me the okay, we'll go ahead. Welcome. At 7:02, I'd like to call the school board meeting to order for November 19th. Um, At this point, if we would all stand for the pledge, please. Points of pride. This evening, I'm going to bring the points of pride forward. This coming Thursday, Todd Sillagi will be recognized as Teacher of the Year for the New Hampshire Physical Education Association. That takes place in North Conway. I'm going to be there. I'll represent all of us. Todd was a teacher at SMS for, I want to say it would have been 20, what is it, 2024, 23 years? About 23 years, I believe. He retired last year. He was a candidate the year before. The committee said that Todd should put it back in again. They recognized his skills, and he was nominated, chosen this year. So our point of pride is another Conval teacher is recognized for their outstanding services. So I will bring best wishes to Todd from all of you. It's a great honor for him. So congratulations, Todd. Approval of manifest.
Good evening. I certify that the manifest listed below totaling $3,287,596.78 have been reviewed by me and found to be proper charges against Kentucky Valley School District for goods and or services received and have been properly processed prior to their submittal to the school board.
Motion to accept.
Move that we approve the manifest.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Any abstentions? All right, thank you. At this point, our agenda is for public comment. If there's anyone in the audience who would like to speak to the board, please come forward and be recognized. All right. Not seeing anyone, we'll go to, Ryan is not here this evening, but we do have teacher representation. Please come forward, tell us your name and your school and the mic, and just push the little button down. It should turn green.
Well, it looks like the green light is on,
That's great.
so you can hear me.
We can.
All right. Good evening. I am Laura Gourlay. I am the school counselor at Great Brook Middle School. I've been there for 14 wonderful years, and I'm here just to give you a little bit of information about what we're up to. I am also the teacher at large for the CVEA, and I'm really enjoying working with the teachers in that effort. So I'm here to tell you a little bit about Great Brook. We have a lot of fun and we have a lot of learning going on. Recently, we've had a roller skating night. We have a most awesome dynamic duo who do the DJing for the kids. We have field trips going on to Harris Nature Center. One of the things I love participating in is improv. I'm learning how to do improv with the kids, and it's actually a social skills, intentional learning time for them too. They may not know it, but we do, and they're learning how to do improv to be funny and to get along with others. We're deep into quarter 2. We're getting to know the new kids, the new 5th graders, and we're excited for our 8th graders as they become the seniors and are starting to think about what life holds for them. I have copies of our Bobcat Bulletin. Our wonderful principal, Mr. Carragher, puts this out for parents and community members every week, and I'm going to pass it around. If you are so excited about what you read in here, you'd like to join the distribution list, let Mr. Carragher know. And thank you for hearing me tonight.
Thank you. Communications. Alan?
We had a very good meeting today on communications. We went from 9 o'clock to past 11. And the reason we had a good meeting is because we have a good committee. And it's a very, very active committee. They know what they're talking about. Nobody's afraid to talk in the committee or give their own opinion. And the committee's made up of Tom, Dan, and Curtis as official members of the committee, and unofficial members of the forum would be Dick and Ian, because they're there all the time too. Now, what we did is that we went over all, as I think everybody got a copy, of all the correspondence that we are sending out on the CT and the high school renovation project. And we've made some changes to them. And one of the changes we've made is that no longer will we have to go out to the towns to in turn have them modify their websites for getting into the conval.edu website, or schoolboard.conval.edu website. Is that we're giving the towns basically one option, which is how to get into us. And it does not require board members to actually go out because the option is that easy to do. And we basically eliminated 2 of the other options that we had used to do before. We have a write-up from the forum, on the forum, and it's going to be voted on tonight, and it's whether in turn we send it out. It isn't final right now, so we are not looking for editing. We're just looking to make sure that everybody understands on this thing that this is one item that will cost us money. So it is actually a financial. I think all the other stuff we discussed at the meeting today is works in progress, things that we're doing, and everybody here knows what our communications are. There's a lot of communications going on that will be on the Conval website, will be on the town websites, and there's one communication that is going out that I'm trying to talk about, which is the communication that is going to every resident in the Conval School District about this, the CTE project and the renovations that need to take place. And that will be going out as soon as we vote on it. And I think that'll be about it.
Any questions? All right. Thank you, Alan. On our agenda is school board budget work session. I just want to comment that I thought it was one of the best work sessions I've experienced being on the board. a lot of work was done by administration, but the board members also did a very thorough job in looking into the budget and asking great questions, and they were great questions, the kind of questions that administration needs to hear to be able to answer the questions that the board members of the public might have. And I just want to thank all of you for the efforts you put into that. Later on, we'll have more budget discussions as we move forward. But again, I just want to say to board members, thank you. It was thoughtful and productive, and it will help us to come forward with a budget that I think that will represent something the school board will support. So again, thank you. Acceptance of the school board minutes, the consent agenda. Any questions on anything in the consent agenda? All right, not seeing anything. Superintendent's report.
Monthly events. November, this week we have policy and selectmen's advisory on this Thursday. Anything else? Next week we have a communications committee meeting on Tuesday, the 26th at 9 a.m. In December, week of December 2nd, we have a school board meeting. We have on December 3rd, we have a school board meeting at 7 p.m. We have a community forum at the high school with a 6 o'clock tour and a 7 p.m. forum about the CTE/high school renovations. Anything else for that week? Is communications meeting every week? So 9 a.m. on that Tuesday? The week of December 9th, we have a communications committee meeting at 9 a.m. on the 2nd, or the 10th, and a policy on the 12th. At, starting at 6. The week of December 16th, on Tuesday, the 17th, we have a budget and property committee meeting at 5:45 p.m. and a school board meeting at 7 p.m. And is communications committee meeting? Or are you waiting on? No, okay. And then that's it for the rest of the month.
Right? Any questions? All right, thank you.
School board requests, we received a request about cell phone policies, which we got out. We have an outstanding request from Janine around academic data, and that was all officially released today, right? So we'll be able to get that to you. Do you want to?
Any other
No.
questions?
I was just gonna mention if we needed guidance with getting into that, just coordinate with Ann and I can assist. Okay, thank you, I will.
Old business. 26 proposed budget. Jim? Mike?
You probably want to show stuff on the screen. Did you hand this out to anybody yet? Okay. And we
you-
definitely need to show this on the screen.
Would you like me to go through what we've done?
Yes.
Okay. So,
Well,
that.
look it up on the screen.
You want to set up?
yes.
Okay. Well, Ann's setting up. We have a second read on policy JKAA and LDA. So was she setting up? Jane, why don't you go ahead and bring us
Sure.
forward?
I will entertain a motion to adopt policy JKAA, use of intentional physical contact, restraints, and seclusion.
Have
Or
a
else-
motion. Yep.
Actually, I make the motion.
Yep. Yes, it's a motion. I have a second. It's been moved and seconded. Any questions? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Any abstentions? All right, next.
I motion that we adopt policy LDA, student teaching and internships.
Can I have a second? Second. So moved and seconded. Any questions? Does this clarify student teachers? Is this the clarification for that? Yes. Which is allows us to have student teachers be able to sub, and we wanted to make sure our policy was in line with the college and what they allow, so we now will line up so that we can take advantage of those opportunities with the shortage of subs. So all those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstentions, great. I'm sure the teachers will be very happy to know that they can have some extra help here. All right, you all set?
Yes.
All right. All yours.
So I'm going to just give you a update on what administration has been working on since last Tuesday. Where we are in the timeline, we're presenting version 2 tonight. We'll continue to revise the budget as needed. And again, we need to have a public hearing before January 21st. The deliberative session is scheduled for February 4th with a snow date of February 5th, and the vote will be on March 11th. So at the budget workshop, I shared that we are continually analyzing the budget. So one of the things that, as we were also working on coming up with a spreadsheet for negotiations, we realized we had put for our open positions at step 7. I explained that at our last work session. But we had to back up. If we hired them this year, they would be at step 6. And it's this year's salary that's going into the general budget because any increase would be on the separate warrant for the teacher's contract. So we adjusted. Does that make sense? So we adjusted. So all of these positions where you see I crossed out, I made those adjustments in the budget. And what's not here, we also readjusted FICA and retirement and all the associated costs. So that was kind of one of the things that Michael Hatfield actually caught. I feel like there should be a reward for anybody that catches things that brings the budget down. I think administrators. So other kind of making adjustments this isn't all of them, but just to give you, our budget is, I think, 500 pages long. We're working with a consultant, Dave Jack, for our business administrator, and not all school districts have such a detailed budget, but we do. So there's a lot to go through, and we're continuing to do that. But last time I brought up how we looked into this admin communications line that hadn't been adjusted, and we had decreased it by 30,000. We looked at that again. We were able to decrease it by another 13,000. Tim Conway found a duplicate new equipment technology, so that we brought that up last time, but it hadn't come out of the budget, so that's now out of the budget. As we were comparing what's in the budget against our spreadsheet that we were doing for negotiations, we actually found that we had put a para in twice. And that happens because we're trying to project where they will be next year, so we moved them to the new building, but in this one case, the para was also listed in 2 buildings, so we caught that. I mentioned that I was going to be doing this for our part-time employees. The associated benefits are a little bit different, so we went back and checked all of those to make sure that they were accurate. So those were some of the kind of things that we're coming across as we continue just to really kind of comb as carefully as possible through the budget. We brought a list of recommendations last time, and so my understanding was I was to move forward and take those out. I know your email was a little bit different, but so I'll tell you what I took out. We took out the 100,000 that we'll put back for the capital improvement plan that we'll fund with trust funds. We moved 100,000 into our IDEA grant. We took out the extra teacher and extra paraprofessional that we had budgeted for. We reduced the number. We have 3 best pair openings currently, and they've been very hard to fill, so we reduced 2 of those. We reduced temporary salaries for summer work. We reduced 2 open teacher positions. We reduced end-of-year celebration, and now I see some teachers sitting, or I see Laura in the back. We have a different plan for an end of the year. So not that we won't celebrate or recognize teachers, but we're thinking about doing it a different way that we think staff will appreciate. Public relations, we took out registration costs for AP exams. We had listed last week that we were going to reduce the high school's athletics by 31,000. I've taken 23,596. We literally just ran out of time. So that's what is out right now. So a little bit more to come out there. We reduced the supply lines. We reduced summer programming. So that leaves us. Currently, our budget is at $60,125,654. So that's, when compared to last year, we're now at an increase of $1,819,042. Which one?
You're at what?
They're-
What do you think?
So that's, I'll take that as a win. There were some additional positions that we talked about that have not come out. So this is where we are at this point in time. And then, I don't know if Rob, are you passing this out? We have an updated sheet, but I'm gonna turn it over to Jim.
You're gonna need to follow along the, I gotta apologize for not having this done. We had a meeting that ended about 2 minutes before this one started, so. Are there more to take out? Did you take everything out?
We didn't take everything.
And we didn't put the adders in, so if you
Oh,
follow.
and I added the SMS teacher that we added is included in that number.
I wanna get this a little bit bigger and I can't get the mouse to work. So tell me, what we have here. This, can everybody see that? Is that better? Everybody come up in front of the room then. Is that better? Okay, so the revised number, up here at the top of the chart shows the revised number 60,125,000. You're all gonna get a copy of the spreadsheet as soon as I get it updated. And this is tracking the total proposal number, 158.3 to 61 to 6125. So what I've got here is, if you can go through and tell me what's still, I've got it, I can toggle it on and toggle it off. Which is it? I didn't catch them all. Did you tell me what, is it included? in this?
Yes, included.
It's included.
That's included. The best pairs are included.
Tell me which ones aren't. Which ones aren't?
Well, for middle school, you have 2 teachers, 1 para, so there's 1 teacher.
One teacher and
Just
one parent.
one of the just one of the teachers has been removed so far.
Okay,
an
so the
open-
number's the same?
Ultimately, it'll be the same, but
I don't need to change the numbers on the spreadsheet. This is the list that you gave me before. from the
yes,
first
it's just
meeting.
that one's just broken out.
Okay, so what do you want me to do with the numbers? Is it included or not, the numbers?
The cost associated with 1 teacher has been.
So if we have a decision to make, how much more should I put in here to make a decision on?
Can I go, can we keep going through and I'll go back to it
Yes.
for you? No,
It hasn't been included?
no.
Tell me which ones I did.
Yes to the high school teacher.
It's been
So-
included. You've already taken it out on
Yes.
Sarah,
No.
athletic supplies, I can't remember
Yes. Part of the athletic supplies, not all of it.
how much should I change it to then.
I have to do a little calculation, so,
And the summer programming, so
yes. And the supplies, yes.
so we only have like 3 more items to go through then,
Yes.
right?
That 2,300 on high school supplies, that, isn't that the number you showed us that we reduced it from the earlier?
Oh, did I get mixed up? That's included. We did
That's
do that.
included, yes.
Supplies has been included.
Yeah, we would have had it done beforehand if we had time, but we didn't have the 2 minutes between meetings. So what's left to talk about? Reduce high school para and 3 elementary school teachers and some to the middle schools,
One teacher and one para.
which is how much?
All right. Can you talk about something else while I figure that out for you?
Yeah, why don't you talk about what's involved in it? Getting them straight on it.
No. Wish I
Well,
could.
it's middle school principal to talk about. So the idea of the spreadsheet, let me just talk to the spreadsheet a little bit, is I didn't realize she was gonna include all those. But the idea is, well, we can change the numbers as we go. So if you just look at the revised numbers, 6,125,000. Is it showing up the screen?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so right now, the be an 8.8% increase in the district assessment, which we need to get down, obviously. One thing can I talk about the, let me just finish this first. So we've got to make some more decisions about what to take out. We've got a handful of things over here that we need to talk about putting in. Total of $310,000 worth of putbacks, which will increase the budget. We also need to talk about what we're gonna do with the health maintenance trust, and I'll talk about this, I could talk about this now or later.
If we can talk about it now.
Okay, so last year when we did the budget, we had, and it's in your, you should have a copy of the summary in your package. When we did the budget, we proposed, because of the big increase, the 25% increase in the health maintenance trust, we talked about taking $500,000 out of the health maintenance trust, putting in the budget. And we can do that. The problem is, it was, when the paperwork was turned in for the tax rates just here last week or so, we found out that had not been done. So the taxes this year are $500,000 higher than they needed to be. So I think what we're gonna do is we voted on that last year, we're gonna include it in this year's budget. So you can see I've got it toggled here to include. It's not working. I wanted to get this done before. Okay, so this should be $500,000. If we assume so if we take that, that's not. Okay. So you can see if we take that $500,000 out, the assessment drops from 8% to under 7%. And what I had set up here, but I think I've already screwed up now. If I could flip this switch on and off to see, to tell you what it, I can go over this later. Let me go over this later.
Okay.
It'll show the difference between the 2 years. I booked it up my spreadsheet here. but $500,000 that would have come out of last year to reduce taxes will come out of next year. And I'm proposing that we have to take another, because we had another big increase in. We have another big increase in healthcare costs this year, so I'm proposing we take another $250,000 out of the healthcare trust for this year. And so that means we'll have $750,000 to take out of the proposed budget. And it has, here's the summary of where we are in the trust. Right now, there's $960,000 in the trust. We take out the $500,000 for last year, gives the balance of $458. Take out another $250, gives a balance of $208. And if we add back another $300, we have to vote on this later. It's a warrant article for next year. If we can propose it and get back another $300, we'll be back with $500,000 trust. So I think with the healthcare, rising healthcare costs and need to reduce the budget, we've got to do this. Okay, so we'll vote on this later, but when I send the spreadsheet around, everybody, look who did. So does everybody agree we want to do that?
Yeah.
We're gonna do the 500. We already voted on that. How about the other 250?
Yeah, I agree we have to do it. But the point should be that it's unsustainable. You can't continue to draw out of a trust fund and pretend it's out of your budget every year.
This is the reason we get it. This is the exact purpose of the health trust, and it's the only time we've ever drawn out of it last year and this year.
Yeah. But if it will continue to do this,
Yep, the
Yeah.
healthcare trust, healthcare funds keep going up.
Yeah, it depends on the increase in the healthcare.
even if it doesn't, you still have to pull money out of your trust fund in order to keep your tax level.
Wait.
It's math.
Jim's comment. Jim's comment is one we've talked about every year. It's correct. You can't keep doing this over time. It really gets down to the funding. So you have to be very careful. The reason we have it is for situations that arose last year and this year. It's a check so that we don't end up with a default at the end of the year. The thing is, and I think they're working very hard to make sure that we don't have to keep going back to the trust fund. So it's there as a safety net, but we can't keep going back to that safety net. I think that's what Jim's saying, and that's correct. But we've only used this that I know of 2 times now, so it's not one that we keep going to get through. So I hear you.
The basic mathematics says that even if healthcare didn't go up at all next year, and you maintain the same budget, then you have to withdraw from the trust fund the same amount next year in order to keep the tax levels the same.
Or increase your budget.
Or increase your budget, and your tax levels go up.
Correct.
So I'm just saying that it is kicking the can down the road.
And we've had this discussion every year. It's about funding and what you have to do to maintain a lower tax rate. And we have every year reduced, come in with a lower budget, and you reach a point where it just can't keep doing it anymore. So it's about the funding. And so I hear you, Janine.
So, are we looking for a level funded budget every year? Is that what you're proposing?
Go ahead, Jim.
I'm not proposing that. I think the reality is that costs go up and you have to accommodate those costs rising. But what you end up with when costs go up next year, and they will, is you get a double whammy because you're paying for this year's cost increase and next year's essentially down the road when it goes up. You see twice the increase if you hide it by taking out of a trust fund. And it's not, and I'm saying hide it, you're hiding it, you're covering it for the taxpayers by taking it out of the trust fund. I don't mean to say that it's, it's an evil hiding of it in this case, right? This is just a fact of life. But that's the way the math works.
The only way we can not continue to have to do that is you have to increase the revenue coming into the school district, which means you have to increase the taxes. There is no way around it. And the less funding that comes from the state, the less funding that comes from the federal government, the more the tax burden gets placed on the taxpayers in the individual communities. And I believe some of you probably read today that the special ed reimbursement is probably going to go down for all districts in the state of New Hampshire. So we're going to end up having to pay more for special ed because the legislature didn't put the money in. So anyway, Jim?
So if we put the 500 and the 250, that's revenue we're talking. You gotta consider this trust fund as revenue. Okay, not cost. We can't do anything about the cost. The cost is reflected in the top line, 60 million this year versus 57 last year. A lot of that is healthcare. I think Ann showed us that the other day. So if we agree to take 750 out, not 750 out, 750 trust fund to count as revenue, which is captured in this line down here, then the district assessment, 6.3%. Okay? So we'll actually vote on that 250 later, but the 500 has gotta happen because we voted it last year. So you ready to talk about the other ones, Ann? The additions? Reductions to budget, right? What's the first one we should talk about? One teacher and one para in the school? I need to know how much more you want to take out. How much more do we have to talk about? We've already taken it out. What the money we've already taken out is reflected in the 50 and the 60 million. We have an additional position to take out. We need to talk about it. Yes or no?
Is this number active right now? What should that number be? I think you showed us that. Jim can change the wording. It's really the dollar amount. It's
Right.
like,
I think we're gonna say yes, take it out anyway. You're gonna move it. I can move it. Need. And we can take it out, right? What this will do is this will recalculate. That should see this assessment should change that a little bit, right? How about the reducing the elementary school 3 teachers? That's still a valid number. Do we want to take all these out? Just go ahead and take them out. Does anybody see anything in there you don't want to take out? And we're going to actually formally vote on the budget later, but. How about this one first? Do we want to take this one out? I say yes. What we're doing here is we're telling Ann and Rob, when they come back to the next budget, it'll include all these things taken out. We could have done this the other day, but we didn't. We wanted to give everybody time. How about the high school para? Any reason not to take that one out? That means we would take out additional 515 below the 616, another $500,000 below the 60.1 million. Which one? Mhm. 31,000? What do you see? Additional? Or you've already taken it out? This should go up a little bit. Include it. Okay. Hmm?
We're looking at programming and what students are signing up for and, um, it would be based on participation rates. Well, it gives us the flexibility based on participation rates, but we feel like we can take that amount out based on current participation rates.
So now comes the hard discussion.
Is that,
I still have my question about. The AP registration, AP exam registration. Is that additional money that's not required? Or are we just not doing AP, exam registration period?
most high schools, when the students take AP exam, they pay the registration cost.
Uh-huh.
The school board a number of years ago made the decision to cover that cost.
Yes.
So it was one of the recommendations that we had to cut stuff out. That was one of the recommendations of administration.
Okay, do you see a need to cut, I mean, like, are there students who have a need to have those registration covered? Is this gonna reduce participation in AP exams or
It
AP
should
classes?
Not, when we looked at participation in AP classes, we did not see students who qualify for free and reduced lunch. So,
Oh. Oh,
and then if somebody did need support, there are ways to get financial support for that.
okay. Thank you.
Before we go to that, we've got to talk about, do we put in these 4 items? 2 items at the bottom, I think we talked about before. The acoustic shells from GBS and CV at the high school, total of what, 60, that's a lot of money, $70,000, but that could be funded out of the trust fund.
I thought we agreed to go ahead and do that.
But we agreed not to put it in the budget.
Right.
But we can't, we have to have a public hearing to go ahead and do it.
Yes.
So we're not gonna put it in the budget, we've already made that decision. Everybody comfortable with that decision?
Correct. I believe we met, we would say, take that out, and we go to the
Right,
trust fund.
it's not in the budget now, and it's not, what's the point is, it's not going back in the budget. I wanna make sure everybody's clear of that, because the last time we didn't have the numbers here. This is what the numbers are, 51 and 18,000, 52, $70,000. So we'll have a discussion later in terms of whether we wanna fund that out of trust fund. It is not going into the budget. That leaves us 2 items to talk about. We already included the 5th grade social studies teacher. We have 2 left to talk about, the special ed interventionist or SMS. And a full-time special education teacher for FES.
Well, the cost associated with the full-time special educator at FES is not correct.
What should it be?
I don't know, but I know it's more than, it's
Let's
probably
go-
103,553.
This is off your sheet, it's half, I think we would go half-time, full-time. that's why.
Oh, that's right, because currently the special educator is 0.6, so it's making them full-time. So that makes, okay, thank you for clarification.
So, it's $140,000 we could put into the budget.
As of right now, things that have come out of the budget are open positions. The positions that are remaining are not open positions. So I think that has to be a non-public conversation, and I think you need to know that information before you can make any decisions about adding additional people.
Does the budget already have the change in yours out of there?
Yes. Thank you. I forgot to, Mr. Grassi also made corrections.
Doesn't sound like we want to put those in there.
Not it. I think if we're gonna have discussion about positions that may exist right now, we should do that in non-public, because we're talking about somebody's job. We should do that in non-public. If these are additions, that's a different conversation, unless it has an impact on someone who presently is filling one of these positions. So, if I
It's-
understand you correctly, the special ed intervention at Francistown, that's going from a part-time to a full-time. Is that correct?
That's the proposal, yes.
That's the proposal, okay. And the special ed intervention at SMS is a new position,
Yes.
and we've already put the fifth, okay.
So the real question is, when we revise the budget, printed document, you're gonna get one line by line detail. Do you want these positions in or not? Not gonna vote on it till the budget till later, we're all done.
Do you have your, oops, go ahead.
So I think if I understood Ann correctly, she said that we shouldn't, and I agree if I understood correctly, we cannot really talk about adding those two positions until we've looked at what positions are currently unfilled. And maybe there can be a trade of positions at that point. So did I get that right?
Well, it's actually, so the filled. So the positions that are not included yet are currently filled positions. And before you add a position, I feel like in the past, sometimes you've added positions after we've eliminated positions. And I think you should have the opportunity to, there could be some people sitting here, well, instead of adding that position, I'd rather keep the other position.
So we should do that in definitely in non-public. So for now, I would say just leave it until we have the discussion, then come back to it. This isn't the final budget by any means, so.
So if we did this right, Rob, the next time you update the operating budget, it should look something like 59,603. 59,006, that's the 60,125 you talked about, minus the 522 we just talked about. That would put us at a 5% increase in district assessment.
So your proposed budget, 1119 is at 60 million, but that's really going to be, where is the,
It should be 59,603 next time we
Okay.
see it. Something about there, they'll find other stuff.
where is that in, where's the 59 that you're referring to? Right there, okay, thank you. Just need-
The number that's
Yeah,
Rob had,
now I see it.
right?
Yep.
I like to do this way to get, keep track of what you're asking.
I just needed guidance on where I was looking. I'm old, Jim. I need guidance.
Jim, what percent increase does that put us at? Not for assessment, but just
For the budget?
Yeah,
for
for the
compared
budget.
to last, because our guide,
5 that would be a 4.15% increase in the operational budget. And which translates into a
I
5%
thought that was low.
increase in it. Are you, you want to pat in the back?
No, no, no.
We gave you
I
a
thought-
5% target, I thought you were asking for a reason, jokingly. It's a lot lower than what we started out. We started out about 8%, right?
Okay,
So we still need to find ways to cut.
well, we can keep looking at it.
The other thing I wanna show you is, right now you see there's a difference in funding from one revenue from one year to the next because the trust funds are not included, because they haven't been voted on, but let's change that to a yes. It gets included, and we haven't talked about how much we want to put more on it next year. But it gets included in both places, both as revenue and as cost, so that it doesn't really have any impact on the district assessment. These trust funds, remember, are funded from money left over this year. And the final thing you need to be aware of is these numbers do not include collective bargaining agreement. Next year is a new contract. We are making progress. I think we're, speak for the group and say, we think we're pretty close. Can't reveal our number. So I wanted to show you what the impact be. If we assume like fiscal year 23, the increase in the contract was 877, if I just assume same number, that's not where we're gonna end up.
Then let's not put it in, Jim.
I just want to show what happened. I just want people I don't want anybody to lose sight of the fact that we're talking about 7% increase district assessment, if we've got to have a new contract, which would be voted on separately. If the budget passes, collective bargaining doesn't pass with 4%, they both pass at 7%. If the budget passes, budget doesn't pass and the collective bargaining agreement does, then it's a smaller increase.
That's
We're talking-
speculation.
It's a tough situation we've got. And I think what we really need to do is take a hard look, scrub the staffing. We got too many people, too many places, and I think, Ann, you're starting to, well, it's just, I don't know how we do it. 70% of our cost is people. And we're locked into what we pay them in the contracts. The only way you can change it is, can't do it within elementary schools.
I know last meeting, we were looking at the transportation costs as a possible area we could save some money. So I just wanted to bring that up again because it seems to be outrageously expensive. I don't know if we can make some, I don't want to use the word radical, but some consolidation of the routes, and if that's something that we have an appetite for.
So we're going to go in executive session later, and we're going to talk about transportation. We're going to do that in executive session. So the board made a request, and Ann's got some information she'll share with us. But Jim, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I don't believe in it. Back to the point that Janine asked, we can't zero a budget. Understand that raises in budgets have to happen. But raises in budget that are either larger than inflation or larger than wage growth means that people are taking it on the chin in order to make that happen. Yeah. So, those are the figures we should be looking at, right? We've had some outrageous inflation in the last few years, and I think we've done things prior to my coming on the board to make up for that in salaries for teachers and those kinds of things. Inflation is back down. Our budget should reflect that. Wage growth is down. Our budget should reflect that. Those are the kind of increases we should be looking at, not things that are twice the inflation rate.
Any other questions at this point? All right, we're going to move on from the revenue, because we'll talk further. We got to go into executive session with that. Communication mailer. You all should have received the flyer that we want to send out to the public to make them aware of the forum. To do that, there is a cost for those mailers to go out. We're looking somewhere between 250 to no more than 4,000 for the mailer. We're estimating this based off the last mailers we've done. So the board needs to authorize the superintendent to expend not more than $4,000 to send the mailers out. That's over 9,000 mailers that will go out. So if I could have a motion to authorize the superintendent to use those funds.
So moved.
Second, I have a second. It's been moved and seconded. Any questions? If we're going to change that wording, then we also need to make sure we stay within that. But it has been historically supported through the years. So right. So changing the wording to say the state has historically supported up to 75%. Communication Committee, does that meet what you brought forward for Ann and I to look at? Is that going to change anything dramatically, or are you okay with that?
I thought we addressed that at our last meeting, that if it wasn't 75%, we have the control to not move ahead with it. And, you know, it's an interpretation. I don't think it's inaccurate. To say the board meets on Tuesday, well, we've always met on Tuesday. Is that guarantee forever we're going to meet on Tuesday? That could change. So we could say we historically have met on Tuesday. It's just a way of phrasing what's been the case. If they've always done 75%, then to say historically they've done it, I think is being too cautious. That's my opinion. It's not a guarantee either, so I understand that, but that's what they've done. So to say they're going to do 75% is accurately reflecting what they've done.
I disagree because we have no idea what this new administration is going to do. We have no forward thinking on this where we can say that they're going to cover it. I think we can clearly say historically cover it, but to have a forward thinking line would, I think, be inaccurate.
We're going to leave it the way it is. We have a motion on the floor to authorize the superintendent to send the flyer out. It's been moved and seconded. Any other questions? Seeing none, Tom?
I take it it's in the budget. We don't have to look for funds or increase anything to send this mailer.
Yes. Okay. All those in
Thank you.
favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Abstention. All right. Let's put the mailer out. I think at this point we should talk about the mailer. Savon Graphics can get the mailer out, but we're probably gonna need some board members' help. They can have it ready to go on the 27th. Help me out, Brenda, if I miss these dates. On the 27th, there's no school that day. So we would need to we would get the flyers from Savon Graphic to go out to the post office. So they would bring them here. Brenda picks them up. Then we need to get them out to the communities. To have Brenda do that on a day that's not a school day or work day is not okay. So I'm going to ask if board members are willing to take their flyers to their local post office to have them distributed. Now, in some towns, it gets a little tricky on who you have to go to. So if you're willing to do that, would you please raise your hand? On the 27th, so you'd show up here, Pony Express, you'd pick up your packages and you'd ride out to your town. Those of you who live in communities, I think Jim, yours is one, you have to go to Greenville, yep, and the other,
Can-
so, yeah, yours would go to Hancock, but, okay, so whoever's gonna go to Antrim would take those. Greenfield is Greenfield. Okay. And it goes to Antrim too. So if it's gonna go to Antrim, just give the buckets to the Antrim people. So let's see a show of hands so Brenda knows who the Pony Express will be.
Can,
Okay,
would it be okay if I could not, like a select board member do it for me?
oh, sure, someone who would just take it to the post office.
So we can,
Or we'll just know that you can't and one of us will do it. Yeah, either Brenda or I will make sure it gets there.
well,
Okay,
okay.
all right. So let's make sure we know. Alan is gonna do Dublin. Janine. Sharon, Dan, Hancock. Bill, you'll do Antrim and take the other Antrim mailers. Greenfield. Tom, if you can, will do Francistown. Jim, you'll do Temple. If Bennington goes to Antrim, so it doesn't even go to Bennington. Okay. So then the post office, so that, okay. I guess we got them all covered. Okay. On the 27th, we sort of need a rendezvous time here. Okay, and you'll email us. Well, who's gonna take, well, Dan's got the Antrim ones from Hancock, but Bill's gonna take the Antrim ones, period, right? So why wouldn't Bill just take all the Antrims? All right. The Pony Express still rides. Thank you, guys. So look for a email from Brenda, and Brenda, thank you. That way we can get them out in time to get to the taxpayers before the forum. All right, thank you, Brenda. Exceptions of a gift. The South Meadow School requests the authorization to accept Photo Lab Foundation a check in the amount of $1,000 for the purpose of supporting SMS EHP 3D printing robotics team. Could I have a motion? Could I have a second? It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Abstentions. Thank you. Accept a gift for the Antrim Elementary School. Request authorization to accept the to accept from X First Book a 4,000 First Book Marketplace gift certificate for the purse of infusing books and resources. Could I have a motion? Could I have a second? It's moved in second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Abstentions. Very. Thank. Public comment. Do we have anyone in the audience that would like to speak to the board? Okay, not seeing any. We need to go into non-public session under RSA 91-A:3, Common Roman numeral 2. Dick.